Hello, YouTube. Right, we're feeling good today. So, we just got back from our easy run today, 5:04 a kilometer, 12 kilometers, an hour and 44 seconds, something like that, somewhere around that. So, I was doing these runs like 6 months ago. I was running around 4:40 a kilometer, but my heart rate was a lot higher than it was today. So over the last sort of 4 or 5 weeks, the idea has been to slow down my easy runs so that I can basically, you hear this adage in running all the time, slow to run fast. Okay, so it doesn't really make any sense that this run slow to run fast thing. So over the course of the last 4 to 6 weeks, I've been looking at all the science. So last week I went to Bath University to do a lactate threshold test, and and they basically gave us three main metrics. So quite popular, these three metrics for measuring running performance. Jack Daniels is one of the people that come up with this. He came up with the idea that your VO2 max, your threshold paces, and then um, your running economy are the three main things. So your VO2 max, your threshold paces, and your running economy. Um, but the only other one I'm going to add to that, because I think there's four key things that we need to be working on, is your muscle strength. So you'll hear a lot of running coaches talk about um, doing strength training, and for me personally, of those four areas that I've seen, I think two are my strengths and two are areas to improve. So we'll start firstly with the strengths. So the strengths that were found, my strongest strength really is my running economy. So, from the Bath University lactate threshold tests, they said that elite level runners have between 180 and 200. I can't remember the exact metric of what it is, but the score is between 180 and 200 for running economy. And my score came out as 201.9. So, what running economy effectively means is that you're able to run at a given pace with less effort. So that's more important the longer the distance goes. So as you get into sort of half marathons and even more so in marathons, and you'll find it massively in the last 10 kilometers of a race. The last 10 kilometers of a race is where they say hitting the wall, because well, part of it's to do with your glycogen stores, the amount of carbohydrates you can store in the muscles. So you can only store 90 minutes of carbohydrates within the muscles. Even if you're Kipchoge, you're taking 2 hours to run a marathon. So you ain't running any marathon purely on carbohydrates. So bringing it back to today's run, we're basically trying to run at an like zone one, zone two. So bringing it back to that lactate threat, the tests. So they basically defined where each of my zones are. So they said that for my zone one, that goes up to 125 beats a minute. For my zone two, that goes up to 140 beats a minute. For my zone three, which is marathon and half marathon, well, marathon really, marathon is zone three. That goes up to 156 beats per minute. And off the top of my head, I can't remember what zone four and five were. So this zone three is our threshold zone. That's where we're working when we're working in half marathons and marathons. Zone 4 and bit of zone 5, that's where we're working when we're working in kind of 5k 10k distance. And then bringing it back to today, we were focused on running easy. So bringing that to me specifically, and what I was just saying with those heart rate zones, was looking to stay in zone 2, so under 140 beats per minute. But what I want to start to do, I do want to look at the watch a little bit, but I don't really trust the 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 data that the watch is giving me. I don't think it's as accurate. So on Monday, I've got a chest strap arriving, so we'll try that. But I don't want to also be just reliant on this technology. Um, when I could tell it wasn't going right in my last half marathon, Western half marathon, I could feel it before I seen that my watch heart rate was sky high, 180, 190. I don't, after that lactate threshold test, believe my heart rate was that high at that point, but it was probably higher than it should have been for the pace that I was sustaining. So bringing it to these 4 key areas that I've said about. So my running economy is one of my strengths. So close to elite level in running economy, the bottom end of elite level for running economy. VO2 max was 62.8. So from the data I've got, that is a high enough score to be able to run the 2 hours, sub 2 hours 30 that I want to be running, which will take place at Berlin Marathon on September the 27th. So we've got news, when was it, yesterday, no, day before, 27th, that my qualifying time from Malaga Marathon, under 2 hours 45 is what they said, qualifying time, submitted 2 hours 39, got the news that we're in for Berlin Marathon. So we got big build, big plans for 2026 here coming. So we are looking at 10 months. 10 months is going to be 4 training blocks. We're currently in the middle of a training block now. So we're in week 5 of, it's going to effectively be 16 weeks, I believe. Yeah, 16 weeks, this one. So it's a little bit long, but that's what this one's going to be. Then we're going to go into a 12-week block, which is going to build towards Bristol Half Marathon on May the 10th. And then we've basically got from Bristol Half Marathon, we've got 20 weeks between Bristol Half Marathon finishing on the 10th of May and the Berlin Marathon on the 27th of September. So that's a bit long for one block. So rather than that being one chunk of 20-week block, I'm going to split that down the middle to 2 10-week blocks, I think. So we've got the rest of this block, which is another 11 weeks tomorrow till Barcelona Marathon. Then we've got 12 weeks till Bristol Half Marathon. And then we got a 20-week stint, 10 weeks, building from Bristol Half Marathon on the 10th of May all the way to Berlin Marathon on September the 27th. So yeah, bringing it back to today. So we were just looking to keep that heart rate under 140 beats a minute, not wanting to be tied to my watch. So key thing I've brought into my training as well is dynamic warm up. So 10 to 15 minutes before I even walk out the door now, I'm doing some dynamic stretches. I'm getting that heart rate up to 90 to 100 beats a minute at least before I walk out the door. And then the first 1 to 2 kilometers, even though my heart rate's up to 90 to 100, I want to try and then take that heart rate from 100, 110, 120. So it's a real gradual process. So this warm up's probably now about 30 minutes, but if I'm including the dynamic warm up inside and probably the first 2 kilometers of running, So we're really giving our body the chance to be like, right, okay, this is what we're doing today. We're doing an easy run. Purpose of today's run is so that the thresholds, that's the area we need to improve. That is the biggest area that me specifically is going to go from the 2 hour 39 marathon that I'm currently at to the 2 hour 29 or lower marathon that we want to hit on September the 27th, 2026. So bringing that back to the heart rate zones, lactate threshold 1, which is your zone 1 and your zone 2, which I've said earlier. Zone 1, 125 beats a minute for me. Zone 2, under 140 beats per minute. So it was established in that test that I think it was 436 a kilometre, something like that, that is the top of my zone 2. But what I want to do within that warm up, just because I can run up to 436, apparently, according to that test, the problem is if I just go straight out the door and try to run 440 a kilometre, like I used to do, my heart rate is just going to shoot through the roof. It's going to go from, well, my resting heart rate at the moment is anywhere between 40 and 45 beats a minute, according to Garmin. Whether that's accurate or not, who knows? But my heart rate's straight away shooting from 40, 45 beats a minute to 120 in the matter of a couple of minutes. Now, that ain't going to be good for the rest of the run. So that's why we're doing this. We're taking the time that the warm up. We're respecting the warm up for what it is, because we want to get more quality out of the runs. So we're running 6 times a week. This plan we're on now. So we've got 2 recovery runs, which is zone 1, which is within that under 125 beats a minute, and then we've got 2 zone 2s, which is under 140 beats a minute. So the idea is within that zone 1 and zone 2, we're looking to push and we stay within those heart rate zones. And today I was trying to run a little bit more on feel than by what the heart rate data said. Thankfully, the heart rate data was lower than has been the case recently. Yesterday, I went out. I thought I'd try it. My heart rate was 125 walking. Told me need a rest day. Took the rest day. Felt better today. Listened to my body. Our body gives us these signals. We've got to listen to it. So I did that. So that is zone 1, zone 2 for me. Tomorrow, the plan is we're going out for a long run. Within these long runs, they've all got a purpose every weekend. So tomorrow, my long run structure, it's a 20-minute warm up. It's 5 times 10 minutes efforts within that zone 3. But we're not going to look to hit that zone 3 straight away in the first couple of reps. We're going to look to gradually increase that heart rate over those efforts. So what I want is to be able to finish strong in races. Malaga Marathon was like perfect pacing for me. For where I was at physically, I couldn't have got any more out of my body on that race. Like that was, the goal was 2 hours 40. We got 2 hours 39 in 4 seconds. For where I was at that time, if I was to run a marathon tomorrow or any time by the rest of 2025, I think I'd be struggling to get under 2 hours 40 right now. But that's where we are right now. Where we're going to be in September next year is 2 hours 29 and something. I know that's going to happen because I'm very clear on what I need to do to get there, which is improve these threshold paces. So in these zone 1 and zone 2 races, training runs, we're looking to stay within that 125 beats a minute zone 1, 140 zone 2. And then what should hopefully happen over time is I'll be able to run at a faster pace within zone 1, a faster pace within zone 2. And then that will just correspond to everything else. It'll be a faster pace at zone 3 because of that. So that's working lactate threshold 1, those zone 1 and zone 2 runs. The lactate threshold 2, which I said zone 3, which is marathon pace, we're working that within a midweek interval session, which this week was 2 times 6 minutes, 4 times 3 minutes, which I did on the treadmill, and then it was 6 times 90 seconds. And then we're also working it tomorrow. We're working 5 times 10 minutes with that 20-minute warm up, 2-minute float in between those 10-minute efforts, and then a 20-minute cool down. So all up, that run's going to be 1 hour 40 minutes, with 50 minutes of quality within that run. And then from there, Monday, we move into strength training. So, so tying into another area, our muscle strength is an area we need to work on. So within that's strength training in the gym. So that is my second key area I want to work on. So to do that, I'm working on squats, I'm working on deadlifts, clamshells. So it's working on the glute medius, that's the muscle on the side of your hip, to the side of where your quad muscle is. We're working the hamstrings with those deadlifts. We're working quads with the squats. We're also working calf muscles. So within calf muscles, we're using the leg press machine, and we are basically holding the weight on the single calf muscle. We can also do sitting down with dumbbells on our legs, calf raises within that position. So two key areas to work on are the threshold paces, both lactate threshold 1, which is zone 1 and zone 2, easy pace, okay, and lactate threshold 2, which is going to be our zone 3, and then also how strong my stride is, muscle contractions, which is strength training in the gym. And then my two strengths, biggest strength is running economy, and then probably the second strength I have is my VO2 max. So it isn't as high as some of my friends or some of my competitors. There's other people like I'm pretty clear not only on my strengths and where I need to improve, but I can also see the strengths and areas of other people that I know. Like I can see, like some people I know, they've got far better VO2 max than me, but their running economy is probably not quite as strong. And you can tell that by how if somebody's really fast at 5k, 10k half marathon, but then they're not able to maybe sustain that pace into marathon, that would make me think that their area to work on would be running economy. And how we'd work on running economy would be strength training and strides. Strides is another thing that I've not mentioned either, which is what I've started to do. Now, all strides are, they're 10-second efforts. So I spend 5 seconds building up to pace. Then I go for 10 seconds, and then I'm looking to get fast paces in this, like sub 3-minute kilometers in this, because I'm only going for 10 seconds. And then I just take 5 seconds to cool down, to slow down. I take a good 2 minutes or so between each stride. So today we did 6 of them at the end of the run. So that's also helping to work on that running economy. So you've got strength training and you've got strides. So if anyone finds that their 5k, 10k half marathon pace is strong, but when they go into marathon runs, they're, I don't know, say they're double the half marathon pace plus 20 minutes, running economy would be your area to work on there. If, like me, you are really strong at running economy, but you aren't able to hit those higher paces, say for 5k, 10k half, then your area to work on would be these threshold paces, both lactate threshold 1 and lactate threshold 2. And that would be done, like I say, by running easy on your easy days, but then also specific interval work in midweek and in the long run. And then we move to next week, where the focus is going to be on what is my pace going to be for my next 10-kilometer race in 2 weeks' time. Because at the moment, I'm not 100% clear. So the workout next midweek, either going to be Tuesday or Wednesday, is 10 times a kilometer. So that should hopefully give me a good indication of what I could look to target in that 10-kilometer race in Telford. And this is a big dog race, so I like this one. This is going to give me a feel for what Barcelona marathon, our half marathon is going to be about, because in some of these local 10K races I enter, I'm somewhere in the top 10 of the race. This is effectively the UK Championships. There's, I think it's four or five waves, something like that. I'm in zone wave 2. Wave number 1 is going to be for anyone that can run sub 30 minutes, 30 seconds. So I ain't anywhere near that right now, son. But, who knows? We can all dream. Zone or wave 2 is anyone from that 30 minutes and 30 seconds to, I think it's 35 minutes. I'm not sure, but it's somewhere around that. So looking at last year's results, I'm going to be 300-400th position, something like that in this race. It's going to be, and it's going to give me a real feel for that first 2-3 kilometers at Barcelona, because the pack tactics, you don't see it so much in these local races there, where it's 200-300 people. There's not that big congregation of people. It's there's a lot more space. So we need to run this race not only to see where we're at in relation to Barcelona half marathon, but as well to get used to running in that pack. Where you can't get in rhythm for the first couple of kilometers, because there's just people to your left, people to your right, people in front of you, people behind you, and you've got no space to warm up. That's another thing that I'm really happy that I'm starting to get clear in my head. So rather than just stood on that line for 15-20 minutes at Barcelona, I ain't going to be doing that. I've got a warm up that I can do on the spot, that I can keep warm, dynamic warm up. Don't need any space. Even if people were peas in a pod, I'm going to be able to warm up just standing there, keeping my heart rate to where it needs to be. But it's not the end of the world anyway. Even if we lose, say, time on those first couple of kilometers, we keep some we're fresh in the legs for the last 2 kilometers, so it's all good. Anyway, I've rambled on loads this morning, but I'm just feeling super enthusiastic. Recap of the whole thing: 4 key things we need to work on as runners to improve ourselves. 3, Jack Daniels touched on with his formula, which is VO2 max, running economy, and then our threshold paces. And then a further one I'm going to add to it, which is our muscle strength, how fast we can contract the muscles, and hills as well. I've not even mentioned hills. We can work on that with hills as well. So for me personally, 2 strengths: running economy, so keeping a pace for a longer period of time, which is really useful in marathons, and VO2 max. They're my 2 strengths. 2 areas to work on are threshold paces, so lactate threshold 1, lactate threshold 2. Lactate threshold 1 being zone 1, 125 beats a minute, zone 2, under 140. And then lactate threshold 2, under 156 beats per minute. So yeah, that's one area I've got to work on. And And yeah, so that's really going to sum it up. What was that other area that I was saying I wanted to work on? So we've got running economy, we've got VO2 max, which I'm happy with. They're my strengths. We've got threshold paces. Threshold paces, working on threshold paces, which I've just said, and then the muscle strength. So in the gym, and strides. So that's it. 2 strengths, VO2 max, running economy, 2 areas to work on, muscle strength and threshold paces, lactate threshold 1, lactate threshold 2. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. Hopefully that's been a bit informative, not just on kind of where I'm at, but also how you can improve as runners as well. So yeah, I'm going to keep you posted on this journey. We've got 10 months in this journey, 4 training blocks. We're in the middle of 1 training block now. Then we go to Bristol, 12-week build up to the 10th of May. Then we go 10 weeks, all the way to the 27th of September. 2 hours 29 or less. Yeah, boy, let's go.